Hello everyone, what is going on? Raven here. Welcome back. We have a very sad case story to talk to you about today. Now, I have read about this case a little bit. I have watched other YouTube channels make videos about this case. I'm going to do the best I can to not take exactly what other people have done, but I would love to get this out there for those of you that have not heard of it. So, the young boy, DeAngelo Tibia, was 4 years old on the day of his passing. The coroner determined after the autopsy results came in that he was murdered, and the method of murder was drowning. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking already that his parents did this. Oh no. DeAngelo was spending a weekend with his grandmother, Terry, and his aunt, Tanina. And this is where things get horrible. On January 11th, 2010, this is when this happened. And it was based off of Clinton Township, Macomb County in Michigan of the United States of America. Now, Terry Borgia is the grandmother, like I said, and Tanina is the aunt. Now, I will have a theory, and I will share that theory at the end. Now, from what people have said in interviews with police, from what I gathered from case study and from watching other channels, is that Tanina has said that DeAngelo and Terry were watching TV on the couch, and they fell asleep on the couch. And at some point after that, she woke up to him deceased in a bathtub. Now, Terry is a grandmother. She's older. Both her and Tanina have mental health problems. Just keep that in mind. Tanina called 911, and she was trying to do CPR to resuscitate DeAngelo. Terry, on the other hand, seemed to be so shocked and so confused as to what happened that she was unable to do anything but pace around the house. I think that would be a very decent, way to feel when something like this happens. My son is almost 4. If something like this happened to my son, I would be probably shocked to that state in some aspects as well. So, police, the lead investigator in this case, immediately thought that Terry did it. They say part of the reason is because, number one, she admitted to it eventually. Number 2, she has bruising on her arms. Now, she's also older, okay? And from my experience, those that are older that have doctor appointments and have had IVs in their arms, the IVs can bruise your arm. I mean, I'm young. I've had an IV in my arm multiple times, and it always bruised my arm every time. So, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm going to link all 3 of the sites I'm using, but basically, it was revealed to a psychiatrist and that family members believe she was covering up for another person. Now, another website actually says that they believe she was covering up for her daughter, Tanina. I find that very interesting that multiple sites are saying that they believe that she was covering up for her daughter, who has mental health problems as well, and she could have snapped. Now, I use the term snap because in interrogations with police, Terry used the term snapped. But she constantly said multiple times over the phone to police, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That could be because she is, again, older. Could be because she legit does not know what happened, or it could be because she's trying to protect the one that did. I will say this. If any of you have watched the interrogation and interviews with Tanina, she is giving different answers every single time. So, like, they'll be like, when did you wake up in the morning? The first time she said around 7. And then she said 3 a.m. And she said 3 p.m. So it's like she was constantly changing her answers, which I feel is very important to note. I will also mention as well that she, and I mean she being Tanina, was very emotionless. She was just saying, you know, my nephew is dead. This little boy is gone. This affects me, 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 me. My family won't let me go to his funeral. You know, instead of being like, oh my God, what the heck happened to my nephew? She was all like, my nephew's dead. And she would only show emotion when either the 911 operator was telling her what to do, like, hey, are you doing this right? And she would show the fakest tears in interrogations with investigators because she thinks her life is over. And she's like, people are blaming me. Well, maybe there's a reason they're blaming you. And it's very disturbing to think that, you know, she was so emotionless. It was just like, this little boy's gone. My life is ruined because my family wants nothing to do with me. It's like, no, it should be like, oh my God, like, he's gone. What happened? She didn't even ask what happened. The investigator was asking her questions, trying to get answers. And if she didn't want to answer that question in particular, she would go way off topic and talk about something else. It's like, you're clearly showing red flags and signs that you know things you're not mentioning. Now, during the 911 phone call, I'm back to that again, the dispatcher mentions to Tanina, is there a second person in the house with you? And she says, yeah, my mom is. And the dispatcher was saying, good, we need 2 of you. One can do compressions, one can breathe into the boy's mouth. And you can hear on the line Tanina asking her mother, Terry, Mom, can you come here? Can you come here and help? Can you breathe in his mouth? But she doesn't do that. She also failed to let emergency medical service responders into the house after they knocked on the door. Now, some people are just saying that was enough to convict Terry. She didn't admit to murder, but she made admissions, telling people that she snapped and didn't plan on this to happen. She was under pressure. She had financial issues. She lost her husband a few years ago, or like 20 years ago, whatever it was. And so she has been constantly not herself. So these are admissions acknowledging what she did, according to, the case and all that. She had been depressed, attempted to unalive herself following the death of her husband a few years ago. After DeAngelo's death, she was found mentally incompetent to stand trial, but later regained competency. In the days following the passing, Terry also had bruises on her arms that they said the 45-pound DeAngelo struggled to break free from his grandmother's grip on his neck. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like I mentioned before, if she had a doctor appointment recently, like her and her daughter were both in a mental institution getting help for their mental issues. If she had IVs in her, especially multiples, because sometimes an IV can burst, the IVs going into your arm can cause bruising. There's also a theory that it could have been her daughter gripped both of her arms and said, you will not rat me out. I think investigators could have at least looked into that a little bit. They could have seen how far apart the bruising was. Because if it was too far for a 4-year-old to do, then that would have meant it was an adult. Someone older. And if there's only 2 other people in the house, 15 months after DeAngelo's passing, Tanina Borgia made bizarre, incriminating comments to the Clinton Township detectives. Among several statements, she says she must have killed her nephew because she is a bad person, and her mother couldn't have committed it because she is a good person. All this after saying she didn't know what happened, she kept changing her answers, but now she's admitted to it 15 months later. They conceded that while the comments are strange, she never incriminated herself and was influenced by her sisters. She has 2 sisters. One sister named Amy was actually the mother of DeAngelo, and they do have another child who, as far as I know, is still alive and well. And then they had another sister, Vicky, who, as of this point, I believe is still alive and well. She might have been having a psychotic episode at that time when she came in, but it should raise reasonable doubt about the guilt of the grandmother. They said that it was enough to settle her conscience, but not enough to get arrested, is what they were telling jurors. Now, during the trial in court, they were saying that that Terry is quiet, sweet, frail, and timid, while Tanina is strong, young, boisterous, and bizarre. Now, there were 3 mistrials for Terry. One was because of the fact that she pled no contest to the murder charges, which was first degree. And it was a mistrial after police statements were found to be invalid in court. The second trial, Terry's daughter Tanina was declared unfit to be a witness after mental health issues and being arrested. Now, technically, legally standing, being arrested does not deem you unable to show up to court. They would have taken you in your handcuffs if necessary, and you would have gone. Now, the next trial was set for after that, and from what I have been able to understand, that one also landed in a mistrial. One of Terry's daughters, Vicky, wanted Terry to be released, wanted to help with life outside of jail, whereas her other daughter, Amy, didn't want anyone to be released and wanted to know what happened to her son, DeAngelo. What all do you guys think of this case today? For me, it was difficult, and I did not put every single piece of detail in. You guys can watch the channel Explore with Us. They did a really in-depth, awesome video about this case. That's where I originally heard it from, actually, so thank you to Explore With Us, or EWU as the narrator calls them. I do hope that little DeAngelo rests in peace. I do hope that he does not have hatred in his soul. I hope he was able to move on and go to heaven or the happy place, whatever people believe in for the afterlife. If any of you do want to learn a little bit more about the case and some details I did miss, because my video is already long enough, there are other videos and there are cases online that you could read and watch about, and it will give you more of an idea as to the craziness that has occurred. I mean, I only talked about a small portion of the craziness that I watched for over an hour on someone else's video, and reading the case studies and all the news articles and everything else, and I'm just like, how was that it? You know, again, let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. For me, this was a hard case to talk about. Anything with poor children, it always pulls on the heartstrings. Even more so knowing that the victim is pretty much the same age as my child. It makes it even worse. I will see you all in the very next video. Bye!